Travis's marriage was arranged by his mother, and Emily was the daughter of her best friend. Both women had long dreamed of this wedding, and at first, neither Travis nor Emily were thrilled with their mother's plans. However, after a few encounters, they started to see each other in a completely different light. What initially seemed out of question, going out on a date, soon felt less outrageous. They began dating seriously and decided they wouldn't live together until they had both finished college. Once they graduated, Travis suggested they get their own place and finally move in together. Their parents, however, continued to pressure them about a wedding and grandkids, but Emily and Travis brushed off the constant nagging like an annoyance they could easily ignore. They weren't ready for children yet. They wanted to explore the world, go on adventures, and keep learning new things. For a while, everything seemed to be working out. Travis had a great job, and after their wedding, they went on a honeymoon, thrilled by the excitement of a fresh start and the adventure of being somewhere exotic. But when they returned home, an ugly surprise awaited them. Travis was laid off, and he quickly found himself scrambling to find another job. Unfortunately, the job market wasn't kind. Most employers wanted years of experience or an extensive skill set, and Travis didn't quite meet the mark. Desperate, he took the first offer he found, a demanding factory job. While the pay was steady, it was far from glamorous, and they could barely afford the lifestyle they had once dreamed of. Emily, who had been hoping to avoid work, found herself searching for a job as well. From that point on, things began to spiral out of control. Their arguments became more frequent, and resentment started to build between them. It seemed as though everything was slowly tearing their little family apart. One day, in the heat of an argument, Emily screamed, "I'm sick of living paycheck to paycheck. When will we ever get to live like normal people? This is only temporary. We just have to hang in there." Travis tried to reassure her, but Emily wasn't having it. "Look at how everyone else lives. Look at Samantha. Her man, Brandon, buys her anything she wants. She struts around like a queen, and here I am." Emily's voice cracked. "Then why did you marry me?" Travis muttered bitterly. "Go find your precious Brandon if that's what you want." Her words had stung deep. Travis was doing his best to keep them afloat, but it didn't seem to be enough. He had never seen this mercenary side of Emily before, and it left him feeling utterly bewildered. At the factory, Travis confided in a coworker, needing someone to vent to. The coworker listened and then shared his own story of his first wife. She had constantly nagged about money and shopping until one day, he came home to find their apartment completely empty. She had left him for a wealthy man, never to be seen again. Travis left work that day haunted by the idea that the same thing might happen to him. He couldn't let that happen. Determined to do something about it, he decided to take on a side job whenever he could. When he told Emily about his plan, he wasn't sure what kind of response to expect. She agreed, though her tone carried a sharp edge that stung deeper than any words of appreciation could. One day, Travis came home after a shift to find Emily all dressed up, looking like she was about to head out. "Where are you off to, looking all fancy?" he teased. She responded curtly, "Why do I always have to explain everything to you?" Travis, already irritated, shot back, "Who are you meeting? Why do you keep asking stupid questions?" She snapped, avoiding eye contact. Fuming, he stormed off to the bedroom, the fury building up inside him. It was clear to anyone who observed them that their relationship was on the rocks. Then one afternoon, Samantha, the same friend of Emily's who always seemed to have it all together with her husband Brandon, showed up unexpectedly at Travis's workplace. He was taken aback. He hadn't even known she was aware of where he worked. Her eyes were red from crying, and her face looked wrecked. His first thought was that something had happened to Emily, but Samantha shook her head, sobbing uncontrollably. "Brandon confessed this morning. He's been sleeping with Emily for a while," she blurted out. Travis let out a nervous laugh, unable to believe what he was hearing. Could his coworker's warnings really have been right? "Are you sure?" he asked, though deep down, he knew it was a silly question. "Of course I'm sure. You think I'm lying?" Samantha shot back, tears welling up in her eyes. Travis quickly apologized for doubting her and asked what she planned to do about it. Samantha shrugged, looking helpless. "I don't know. I just feel lost," she murmured. Travis suggested they meet up later to talk more. He had to get back to work, but they agreed on a small cafe nearby. The entire rest of the day, he couldn't shake the weight of Samantha's words. All the recent events, the signs he had brushed aside, suddenly made sense. By the end of his shift, Travis felt like he was losing his mind. After work, he threw on his jacket, drove to the cafe, and found Samantha still in tears. He did his best to comfort her, and surprisingly, they ended up having a real conversation. She admitted that Brandon wasn't the perfect man he portrayed himself to be, but Emily had always gone on about how wonderful he was. Travis snorted. "I used to think that too, until we got married," he muttered. Samantha gave a small, knowing nod. After a while, Travis drove home, his mind racing. He was determined to confront Emily with everything he now knew. He rehearsed several harsh lines in his head, wanting to hurt her the way she had hurt him. But when he walked through the door, he was met with an even bigger shock. Emily wasn't alone. Brandon was there too. Travis froze in the doorway, catching sight of them in the foyer mirror. Both of them were completely naked, and worse, Emily was on her knees in front of him. She was so absorbed in the moment that she didn't even hear Travis come in. Travis couldn't believe it. The same woman who once hesitated to explore new things in their bedroom was now doing this with another man. Brandon noticed Travis's reflection, cursed, and grabbed the nearest thing to cover himself. Travis's crochet blanket, a gift from his mother. At that moment, all the composure Travis had left vanished. He roared in fury, lunging at Brandon and swinging his fists. The two fought fiercely, with Emily desperately trying to pull them apart. In the chaos, she ended up hitting Travis on the head with a book. "Are you crazy?" Travis shouted, reeling from the blow. "You're going to kill him." With that brief distraction, Brandon managed to escape, clutching his black eye and fleeing the apartment. Travis almost felt a sense of relief. There were no shared properties, and they were just renting. He no longer had any reason to stay connected to Emily after her betrayal. They parted ways for good, throwing harsh words at each other. Travis's mom called, tearfully begging him to reconsider, but he bitterly laughed and hung up the phone. About a month after the divorce, Samantha called him, excited to share the news that she had finally kicked Brandon out. She invited Travis to celebrate, and they began talking more frequently. Over time, they realized that maybe everything that had happened had led them to discover just how much they had in common. As for Emily, she moved in with Brandon but soon realized he wasn't the perfect man she had imagined. Samantha had been right. Beneath Brandon's suave exterior was a controlling, manipulative creep. Once he knew Emily had nowhere else to go, he showed his true colors, controlling her emotionally and financially. She was too ashamed to admit it to anyone, stuck in the same trap Samantha had once faced. Travis felt no pity for her. In his mind, Emily had brought all that misery upon herself, and there was no turning back for her now.